What's up, everybody? I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com, and I am super excited to welcome you to the first ever F1 card strategy show as part of the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Content Network. And I have Greg Lanctot with me. Greg is going to be the host of the F1 card strategy show on the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Content Network. And I wanted to join him for the first episode just to kind of help him get things kicked off. And we have started to do some more niche content here at NoOffSeason.com. As you know, you may know Greg from co-hosting the Sports Card Strategy Show with me. And Greg is big into F1. And so I thought he would be the perfect guy to host the F1 Card Strategy Show with us. And Greg, how's it going, man? How you doing today?
Well, I don't know if I'm big into F1, but I certainly like it a lot. Let's just put it like that. I'm pretty good, man. I'm pretty good. Yourself?
I'm doing well. And I think, I don't know. I don't see any reason why not to call you big into F1. I think there might be some listeners out there that are much bigger into F1 in terms of if you want to qualify it by the amount of money that they have invested and or getting in maybe earlier than us, and thus maybe having more liquidity that they could cash out on right now. I think F1 is still an emerging market. It's definitely something that I was not as early into as I would have liked, but I think I'm trying to make up for that now, and maybe you fall more into that category. But yeah, why don't you want to give us kind of an overview of what you've got going on in F1 card investing right now, and then we can jump into kind of the show topics that we want to discuss today.
Well, I don't know. I've been following the market so closely in the past weeks, and it's been crazy to see that the market has gone up in such crazy ways and went down also on some drivers and some cards that were, not affordable firsthand. And you can see that there are opportunities right now in the market to invest, even though everyone know who the drivers are. I believe that what happened since the beginning of the season is that 2021 Topps Chrome was released and the season started. Drive to Survive was aired on Netflix. Every collector and every F1 fan knew that this was going to drive the market up. But driving it up so bad, it's been completely crazy. Just look at Charles Leclerc's prices so far. Every single week it's been going up. You could buy his base card for just a few bucks, his base portrait for just a few bucks in the off season. And now, I just sold it off eBay for 100 USD.
So now we are seeing the man with two names, Charles Leclerc and Charles Leclerc, for you Americans out there. Yeah, this is an example of what Greg was talking about. This is his refractor, obviously, but like there's the base portrait that's not the refractor. There's the refractor portrait. There's basically like all of his cards have, gone up by 20 to 100% based on his performance. And Greg, you made a good point about the external market factors beyond like the driver performance. And I know you kind of wanted to talk about, the craziness of the market. We also want to hit on, some other individual topics like maybe some driver performance topics, why some cards go down. I know you want to talk a little bit about PSA 9s. I think we also want to
what's
hit
been
on
happening with PSA 9 has been completely crazy as well. Anyway, let's the chase for a PSA 10 has turned everyone crazy. And I'm not saying in a bad way. Everyone wants to buy a raw card because they know if they hit a 10 at PSA, these prices are going off the roof. See, come back on the screen on the raw price here of Charles Leclerc. why am I saying it in English? I'm French. Of Charles Leclerc, his raw card sold on eBay was 710 US. Okay, and the start price, uh, March 21st, was 470. If you go on the PSA 9 price, it's 625, and the start price was 455. So that means if you buy a card, and we all know what we see right now in history is that 2020 was very grade and 2021 grades very well. So for all investors, collectors, or I know probably I'm not going to make some friends by saying that, but I see a lot of people in groups or on eBay or Discord or on social media posting their PSA 10s, their autos, or they bought into breaks, they got good hits, which is pretty cool. Graded it to PSA, Super Express, got it back, and now they're selling it at a price stating pop 1, pop 2. Yes, but give it a few months and these cards are going to probably come back, since we know it's not Lando's rookie, it's not George's rookie. Of course, an auto is an auto, but hey, anyway, here's the point. The PSA 9s, and I'll say it again, 2021 grades very bad. So that's why we see on colors that a PSA 7, PSA 8, PSA 9 are valued as 8, 9, 10, because the 10 are almost impossible to get due to print mishaps or whatever. So you see the raw card is selling for more than the PSA 9, and I've seen it on a lot of different drivers. And if you see the PSA 10 price, $2,000.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple of different things going on here that I want to clarify for the audience, and then get your take on. So I think one thing is, I just want to clarify, are you saying 2020 is hard to grade, but 2021 is easier to grade? I just want to.
Well, it seems like, because you there
And so,
in the Topps different set that has been released. Well, they're all top set because Topps owns the F1 rights, but the toughest to grade has been 2020 Chrome.
yeah.
Sapphire seems to, and 2021 Topps Chrome seems to grade better as well. So the cards are good looking. I mean, the print seems better, which makes sense with the price point as well. It's a premium product. But 2020, if you look at a color, for people buying these cards on eBay or whatever, if you turn the card around, on the back there are always little print stints on the corners, not the corners, but in the middle, and it happens on almost every card. And there are print issues also on the surface for some of them. So yeah, it happens a lot. We saw that a lot in the market.
Yeah, so okay, so I want to unpack a couple of the other things you said. So I think you were referring to like Pop One and different things like that. Now, my understanding of that kind of situation is that for the 2021 set that was just released a couple months ago, the play there is people having them graded at PSA very quickly. And then similar to what happened with Mac Jones, I don't know if you're familiar with the football phenomenon, in the fall, essentially when Don Russ came out, is people were getting the Don Russ football Mac Jones, having that graded, and that card went for $3,000, and it's like it's like maybe a $75 to $100 card, honestly. Like it because it was the first few essentially graded PSA 10. So is that what you're kind of seeing happen right now with the 2021 set? Is that it may or may
Absolutely.
not be easier to grade, but that's kind of what you're talking about. Is that people are
Yeah,
getting them and they're selling them for the highest possible prices because they're the first to get the tens.
absolutely. And I mean, I see nothing wrong in that at all.
Yeah,
It's
of course.
the market. It's the market. We side with football, where we side with basketball as well. When Don Ross was released this year, and we'll see it again. People want to be the first owning these cards, and I mean, there's probably a value for a collector or for someone to be owning the first PSA 10 ever graded of a card. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not my gig for me. I don't see an upside to that. But if you're looking to invest in this 2021 set, maybe wait a little. The price will probably settle, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So I agree with that. I mean, I think like that was one thing I was gonna ask you is sort of like when I think timing is huge on when to buy. That's one thing that I continue to learn. And so it seems like in terms of singles, now probably isn't the time to necessarily buy 2021 PSA graded singles or PSA 10 graded singles. And it's probably not the time to buy. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily the time to buy our guy Charles Leclerc. I know you were on the record before the F1 season started
Yeah.
saying buy Charles Leclerc. And so had you that would have been the time to buy because now he's up everywhere just based on his performance. Would you agree that maybe now in mid-April after he's won 2 races and finished second in another, probably isn't the time to buy? Agree or disagree?
The one thing I like with making content with you, producing content with you, is that I agree to disagree. And is it the time to buy Charles Leclerc presently? Yes and no. No, because the price is up so much. But imagine he's been winning 2 of the 3 races. He's been absolutely dominant in Australia. And the Ferrari engine is not even 100% yet. His closest opponent is now George Russell on the Mercedes because Red Bull had a lot of issues with their engines, and Max Verstappen wasn't able to finish the 2 races. And even Max Verstappen said it this week. I'm not even thinking about the championship right now. I like what you're showing on the screen, and we'll get to George Russell right after. But imagine if Charles Leclerc continues to perform this way. Everyone, I mean, yes, the train has left the station. There's still time to run and probably catch a spot on the train.
Mm-hmm.
If he wins the world championship, if it's confirmed, Ferrari is the biggest team ever in Formula One. They haven't won a championship since Kimi Raikkonen in 2007. So the prices are going to continue to go up. His market will still be driven up.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a tough call because it's like, do you want to be in it? It is kind of investor preference, sports card investor preference. I think some people like to go with the projected top dog, and that would be like, okay, that would be making the bet that Charles is going to win a lot more races this year and potentially win the world championship. Other people like to go with who's next, right? And then some people kind of hedge their bet. So I think this is maybe a good segue into George Russell, because for me, we currently have George Russell rated above Charles Leclerc on the sports card investment report at no offseason. And the main reason is because we just sort of feel like George Russell still has as good a shot to be sort of the next guy that wins world championships as Leclerc, and he's just not doing it right now. And because he's not doing it right now, his prices are still achievable for a lot of people and haven't seen the spike that Leclerc has seen. And so being that it is early on in the season, I personally am hanging on Russell. But where do you stand? I'll drop a tough question on you first. Who would you buy between the two of them if you had to pick one? Considering all factors, and then I'll let you kind of let you give your overall take on Russell as well.
If I had to buy both, what's the outcome? What's your end game? You want to flip or you want to invest long term?
I think if you had to flip, say buy, I sort of look at things in sort of a 9 month window. So let's say 9 months from now, nine to 10, give or take a couple months.
George Russell.
Okay, you'd buy George Russell, and
George
explain,
Russell.
because now I'm very intrigued.
Look at the graphic on the screen right now. And for people that are listening and not watching the show, George Russell's PSA 10 refractor PSA 10s have been a straight line, plus 20% since March 15th. I mean, steady rise there. But if you look at PSA 9 and raw, they've been dipping. I know I bought two raw. Look at the price again, 411 for a PSA 9, and look at the raw, 300. So it's been, if you look at these prices, it's not even worth it right now to grade it if it doesn't come back at 10, right? Unless you go with SGC, but SGC for resale value is a little bit less. Anyway,
Yeah.
George,
Yeah, and I
if
just
you
I
look
just
at
want to
George,
qualify real quick. Sorry, Greg. I just want to qualify. Like we were just looking at the 2020 Topps Chrome Formula One refractor, and I think the reason why we like to, at least why I like to pick those cards, is because they're short printed. They are more investable than the base, but they're not as expensive as a numbered purple refractor, or or lower numbered than a purple refractor. So I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to qualify the card. So
it's all good.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and talk about Russell.
It's all good. So George has a history of being Mr. Saturday, so very good in qualifying. And now it turns out he's Mr. Sunday. So did very, very well in did very, very well in the past races. I mean, stepped on the podium in Australia. We know that the Mercedes car is not as good as the Red Bull. And certainly not as good as Ferrari, but they're making progress. They're still making progress. So there will come a time in the season where you will see George Russell and Lewis Hamilton winning races and podium. And I can refer back. I heard, Pirates Card Castle. Anyway, shameless plug here. Amazing seller breaker here. Pirates Card Castle.
Okay.
The guy Scott knows his stuff. Remember in 2012, Sebastian Vettel, at the beginning of the season, the Red Bull was not performing to the same point as the other teams. And mid-season to the end season, the Red Bull was untouchable. And I believe the same story will be written as George Russell and Lewis Hamilton will have a very, very strong second half of the season. And I mean, performance, we see it. I didn't think it was going to be driven that much by performance, the F1 market, but it is. So therefore, I see, look at the prices at Lewis Hamilton there on the screen. They're all dipping. And yeah, so I mean, if George Russell wins his first race, which will happen at some point, he will be world champion in a few years for sure. So that's why I would invest in him, because only because I see more upside investing in him now than Charles Leclerc. But those two
Yeah,
are great investments now.
we're aligned on that. And I have some additional reasons. I've been on record as saying I really like that George has the RC logo on his 2020 release. I'm not sure why he and Lando do, and why some others don't, but it kind of doesn't matter. He's got the RC logo on there, which I think as more and more sports card investors become familiar with F1, I do think that in the long run, that's going to matter regardless of the grade of the card. The fact that, if and when George Russell does win races and potentially win world championships. I think that his 2020 release with the RC logo on it is gonna increase in value. But yeah, I guess back to Lewis. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting because right now on the screen, for those of you listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, he's down. His PSA 10 2020 Topps Chrome F1 Refractor is down about 17% over the last 30 days, and basically since the start of the F1 season. And so it's not cheap. It's still $37.50, but it seems like a pretty good buying opportunity for Lewis. Does he still have a chance at winning the championship? I mean, it's early on in the season, but does he still have a chance at winning the individual driver championship? What's your take on that?
Technically, he's fifth in the stands. He's fifth in the stands compared to Max, who's sixth. Max has a better car for now, but he can't finish races, which has got him very frustrated. Like I said earlier, Max said on the news this week, doesn't matter how fast I am if I can't finish races. So we'll see where that goes. And there was this little war in the media between Toto Wolff from Mercedes and Christian Horner from Red Bull. Christian saying, I'd better fix my reliability problems on a fast car than working on a slow car to make it faster that can finish races. And Toto said the opposite. So we'll see where it goes, man. I mean, right now, if you have the money, all these drivers are good investments. I would probably hold on. To invest in Max Verstappen because, like you said, everyone is looking at who's going to be the next guy. What's it going to be? How can I make more money on it? But Max's card compared to all the other drivers for a world champion are pretty affordable. And when I say affordable, quote unquote. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, okay, that's a great point because Max, Lewis's PSA 10 2020 Topps Chrome F1 Refractor is double the price of Max's. And I mean, some might say, well, yeah, of course it should be that way. But no, I mean, I see your point. Like, Max is the defending world champion. He's arguably still like the best young driver. I mean, we've mentioned Russell and Leclerc, but Max, I mean, I think they're all about the same age, give or take. And so they're all significantly younger than Lewis. They're all going to be around for a long time. Max is off to a rough start, but the one race he finished, he won. So he's actually up. His PSA 10 anyway is up by about 45%. But it's still, I mean, $2,000. That actually seems like kind of a bargain for this particular card. So that's an interesting take that you have on Max.
Look at his PSA 9. I'm curious. See,
yeah,
that's
so
the play.
The PSA 9 is the play, Greg says, because it's down 20%. It started at $700 before the season, and now it's at $561, which is what I bought Russell for. And Russell's down to about $475. So, yeah, this is interesting, this PSA 9. So what you're saying, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you're saying the PSA 9 dilemma isn't necessarily that it's overvalued or the wrong play. It actually could be undervalued depending on the card and depending on the driver. Is that right? Like, you really got to dig in to where there's a bargain on a PSA 9 and where it's just better to buy the PSA 10.
I think there will come a time that the PSA 10s of all these portraits, colors, image variations are all going to be out of reach for a lot of collectors and a lot of people that will join. Let's think long term there. And I'm not, I would like to be Nostradamus, and I'll probably be way richer, card richer, if I was. You'll probably agree with me or not. What I see, a lot of people right now are joining the Formula One train, are investing in those cards. The Miami Grand Prix is coming in about a month. 3 weeks to a month. Next year, there's going to be a race in Las Vegas. Uh, the market still grows in the hobby and outside the hobby as well. And the hobby grows as well. So more and more people are going to continue to come. And there will come a time where these PSA 10s will be unaffordable for someone who want to start a collection. And where will they turn? PSA 9s. That's what I
Yeah.
figure, or I mean, that's what I would do. And long term, I see all these cards going up, but PSA 9s are going to probably be a little more on demand, and they are pretty cheap right now compared to PSA 10s and even compared to raw. So if you want to be risk free right now and start to invest in those cards, what do? You buy the raw or the PSA 9?
Yeah. And I think the raw,
See, once
I've
again,
seen
with
in
Max,
other,
I'm sorry, Paul. The
yeah,
raw here on the screen, the PSA 9 sold for 561, and the raw sold for more because everyone wants to
yeah,
hit the lottery and try to get a PSA 10. Well, the PSA 10 is $2,000, which is the same price as Charles and same price as George. So the PSA 10s
yeah.
are basically, if you had $2,000, it's basically pick your driver that you believe is going to be giving you the best investment. But right now on these PSA 9s, I think there's a lot of room there to grow.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's really silly to pay more for raw than a PSA 9 because your odds of getting a PSA 10 are super low in the first place, and your um I mean, not only are your odds low of getting a PSA 10, but I think they're even low of getting a PSA 9. And I think that like your odds are even lower, to your point earlier, of getting it in within this 2020 release, just based on what you've said. And it's not the first time I've heard that, with them being hard to grade. And it's interesting too that like PSA 9s in F1, I've noticed, are closer to the value of PSA 10s than in other sports that I follow. And the raw versus PSA 9 is about the same. So from the trend line of, hey, let's try to get a raw and get a PSA 10, it's about the same as other sports, but the PSA 9 is like actually holding value closer to the PSA 10 in F1 more so than it is in other sports. And so if you can buy, if I would avoid base, but I would look at refractors, I would look at numbered refractors, and I would pick your favorite driver, like you said, Greg, and I'd go for the PSA 9. Obviously, the PSA 10 if you can afford it. And I mean, in some cases, if it's an auto or if it's like if it's a low numbered, really really low numbered refractor, even a PSA 8 could be like a great play, right? Because I mean, you're probably not going to see. Think about it. If it's a low numbered refractor or an auto to begin with, there's not that many of them. You like, for example, if it's
Exactly.
numbered out of 99 or numbered out of 199, there's not going to be more than 199 of them, or there's not going to be more than 99 of them. And so then if you get a PSA 8 of that, now there's going to be even less. And so you're just kind of playing the common sense pop count game. And so I think that if you can pick a driver that's got a low numbered refractor and a PSA 8, and it's within the price range of what some people are paying for raw, or for PSA 10 or whatever, or raw or PSA 9, it could fill in there as a good investment.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, these Sapphire or Topps Chrome numbered cards, remember that, yes, there are a lot of investors that come into F1, but there's also a lot of true collectors. Um, these people
Yeah.
want these cards. So if they, if they want a card, no matter the grade, they still want it. So there are a lot of damage cards in there. They know it, and they will still pay for it. So
Yeah. I think I want to ask you about Sapphire since you mentioned it. And then I wanted to talk real quick about some of the other sets, because we've been getting some questions. You and I have put out a lot of F1 content on the Sports Card Strategy Show, and this is our first F1 card strategy show. But I wanted to ask you, we've got some questions about Sapphire, some comments about Sapphire and about some other sets. And we had a couple people on the YouTube channel sort of mention like that they thought I in particular was understating the value of Sapphire. What's your take on, I can explain my point of view on that, but I want to give you some more airtime here. What's your take on like investing in Sapphire?
I like these cards, and they're still 2020, and they still have the RC logo on some drivers, and they will still be the cards of a lot of drivers, a lot of Yuki Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher. So these Guan Yu Zhou, all these guys, yes, they are in their F2 teams, but they're still the very first card. So there's a debate in the community right now is saying, what's the true rookie? Is it the 2021 set as they are in their F1 team, or is it 2020? All of that to say, Sapphire, I think these cards are very good looking. They're rare, and to me, they hold a lot of value, and it depends on what you are after. Are you after the numbered image variations, which have a lot of value? But if you're looking at the portrait, when you look at price, is a great investment for not getting base. So it's a step up from base. But refractors and then purple refractors and then so on and so forth have more value to these cards. So I think Sapphire is a great investment. Personally, I've been buying a Lando Norris lot of Sapphire. I've been buying also PSA 10. I've been buying the image variation of Lewis Hamilton PSA 9. I love this card. And yeah, I'm all for it, and I think people in the hobby think the same. And now everyone, a lot of people are trying to save money because 2021 Sapphire might come in the next weeks.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like the comment that I made that sort of triggered the audience response about understating the value of Sapphire was just that it was very specific actually. I didn't want people to get confused buying singles between a Sapphire edition base card and a chrome the chrome release refractor, because they are very different. There's multiple refractors from the original chrome release, and then there's the Sapphire edition base cards, and because they do look so amazing. I'll never disagree with anyone who says that Sapphire looks amazing. I just new people getting back into the hobby in general and wanting to invest money, and then people coming over to F1 from other sports wanting to invest. I think they'll understand it, but I think that sometimes when you're doing eBay searches and you're not really deep into research on what the sets have been, it can be confusing, especially because people on eBay and even in Facebook groups, everyone's guilty of just like unintentionally mismarking what a card is, or maybe leaving out some details like unintentionally. And so
yeah,
I just wanted people to understand, like, if you're getting, you can see it right here with Max, like PSA 10 base Sapphire card is, it's almost $1,000. Well, that's not the same thing as his original refractor, which is $2,000. So
twice the price.
And it's not a short printed version of his refractor either, which I think that could be easily confused. Those are mistakes I made in other sports a year ago. And so as I'm getting into F1, I just want to point those things out. But back to your comments about Sapphire in general, it seems like it is an area for arbitrage potentially for people like you and a lot of people in the audience that are willing to do the research around what's underpriced and what's rare. And Sapphire, I think it was originally released only to the Montgomery Club members. I think that they could sell that on the secondary market, and that's how more people got it. And much like the original Topps Chrome release, it released around $100 to $200, and then it immediately was selling on the secondary market for $500, $600, $700, $800, and now it's up around $5,000 a box. I think the only difference when you buy a Sapphire that I want to call out to people learning about F1 is I don't think there's autos at all in Sapphire, or at least there's not guaranteed autos in the hobby box like there are in the original Topps Chrome hobby box release from 2020. Do you happen to know off the top of your head if I'm correct on that?
I don't think there's guaranteed autos. Well, there's no guaranteed autos nowhere in. I mean, I had a box of 2020. I opened it. I autos and any Carlos Sainz cards, as I recall, and even any George Russell, from what I can remember.
Yeah. So I think there's somebody in the comments, like, let us know if what your experience is or if you have the knowledge that we don't hear. But my understanding is that there's a decent chance to get autos in a original 2020 Topps Chrome hobby box, but there's no chance to get autos in the Sapphire edition. At least that's based on the research that I've done. So a couple other sets that I wanted to get your thoughts on, Greg, are Lights Out, which is very different than Dynasty and very different than Topps Now. But there's Topps Now, which is a lower end sort of maybe collector's play by Topps. Then there's Lights Out, which I think seems to be a lower end than Topps Chrome and Sapphire. And then there's Dynasty, which seems to be Topps's play at maybe sort of like Panini's Flawless or National Treasures version for these F1 drivers. But what's your take on just kind of these alternate sets as an investable, alternative investments?
I don't believe in the Lights Out set, and that's a personal reason. I mean, for me, the real quote unquote F1 set is Topps Chrome. Lights Out was pretty cool. For the cards are good looking. Some people, it was really for the hobby. I think that Topps got these cards out. It was in the off season. People had a lot of fun before they waited for the new Topps Chrome set to get out. See, you see the Mick Schumacher here on the screen. These cards look very good, but I don't see long-term a lot of value on these cards. I don't think. I think on an investment standpoint, stick to Chrome or Dynasty, as you said. But Dynasty is pretty much the equivalent of National Treasures. So yeah, Lights Out. If you're a collector, if you like these sets, if you think they look cool in your collection, you want to keep them, have at it. I mean, look at this Mick Schumacher. I like the pose in there. I like his smile. The RC logo is in there with the flags. Look pretty cool. I just don't think that long term the hobby will turn onto this set as investment.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think that like if you want to make money on that, you really have to be first to market, get it at the manufacturer's suggested retail price, and sell it for on the secondary market for maybe like a 20% markup or maybe more if you can do it. I just don't know. I think it's obviously a good play for like card shops and maybe breakers, but I don't know that that I'm buying singles or anything like that of the Lights Out set. I think it's good for collectors, like you said, good for the hobby, driving more interest in F1, more things for people to pick up and have interest in. But in terms of investability, I agree with what you're saying in terms of the real set being 2020 Topps Chrome. And what I like about it, I think we've hit on driver performance today. I think we've hit on, young drivers. You've still got the GOAT Lewis Hamilton going. You've got different different intricacies between the two main investable sets, Topps Chrome, Topps Sapphire. You've got the F2 drivers versus the F1 drivers with the RC logos. There's different ways to get arbitrage, but kind of last thing I want to talk about heavily here is, these patch autos in Topps Dynasty out of 10, right? What's interesting to me is to think about, okay, if you're like me or you to a certain extent, and you weren't the first wave to buy the most investable set, which is the 2020 Topps Chrome. Now we're looking at other ways to be creative to make money on F1. We know in the long run, the cards that we bought are going to make money. But in the short term, we're looking at other plays because it's fun and because we think that there's opportunity there. When I look at Dynasty, I kind of think, okay, these patch autos out of 5 and out of 10, you can literally go corner the market on by, you can own all 10 of them or you can own all 5 of them. And obviously not for the biggest names because they're just ridiculously expensive. But you can see that, like, I'm trying to like Pierre Gasly, might be a good example, right? Like his out of 10 went for under 2,000. Now I'm not saying that I have $20,000 to spend on Pierre Gasly cards, but in theory, you could pick a young driver. I don't know what Mick Schumachers are going. I don't think Mick Schumacher maybe even be in this set. Maybe he's in the next set. But you could pick a guy that is a younger driver that still has potential, and you could invest in his Topps Dynasty F1.
Absolutely.
Any plays here? Am I on the right track? What are you thinking?
You are on the right track. I mean, Dynasty's gonna come out again this year, and see the prices of these cards. If you're a collector, if you think these cards look cool, look at Fred Vassar. You won't find $300 cards of a Fred Vassar, but people try to finish the set. People are collecting team directors, and Pierre Gasly is a very, very interesting play right now because his contract is up at the end of the season. And Red Bull knows that if they keep him at AlphaTauri and they don't give him the other seat at Red Bull right next to Max Verstappen, they're going to lose him. He's going to try and go get another seat somewhere else. And we'll see where that goes. Will he replace Daniel Ricciardo at McLaren? I don't know. But that's an interesting play right now. The hobby seems to like Pierre Gasly. He's a superstar in the making, Grand Prix winner. And the guy is super, can I say sympathetic in English? Is that no? Sympathetic? Sympathetic?
Yeah,
Likeable guy.
Maybe he's likable. He's likable. That's a
likable
good.
guy.
I knew where you were going. My brain's in multiple languages too, so I knew where you were going.
My brain's pretty much in jello right now. I'm sorry about that. This virus seems to affect my thoughts, but Pierre Gasly is a super interesting play and still affordable for this type of card.
Yeah, so I mean, like, interesting thought would be buy all 10 of Pierre Gasly's essentially rookie patch autos and more than likely you'll be able to get all 10 of them for $20,000 ish. This is a PSA 8, obviously. They're not all going to be graded, but you can track down 10 pretty easily. It's harder to track down 499 of something. It's harder to track, you can't track down all the refractors. But Dynasty, I think, presents an interesting opportunity, especially with the team managers, like you said, going after maybe a Toto Wolff or a Christian Horner. In Facebook, like here's a Christian Horner red out of 5 PSA 9 for $810. I mean, you mean to tell me that, a few years from now, people aren't going to want an out of 5 head of the Red Bull team, and be willing to pay $2,000-$3,000 for that. I mean, I would be surprised if the answer to that question is no. I mean, I could be wrong, but these are interesting things to think about, and we'd obviously love your thoughts. If you're watching on YouTube, drop us a comment. You can join the Facebook group. The easiest way to do that is to go to sportscardstrategy.com and click on the link to join the Facebook group. Greg and I would love to talk to you about content from today's show or answer future questions from you.
Absolutely.
But Greg, anything else you want to add before I hit everybody with the outro on the first ever F1 card strategy show?
I would still recommend people checking out Lando Norris. He's been doing well.
Okay.
He's been in the points, and McLaren seems to have improved their car. And I think he's going to be on the podium very, very soon. So let's see where it goes. If I could give an advice, I mean, I'm still buying Lando. I'm still buying George. I'm still buying a lot of drivers right now. And if you think the prices are too high, well, see the performance. If you believe in these drivers, I know a lot of people are collecting Esteban Ocon. And I think there's an interesting play there to be made with Lando Norris.
Yeah, it's good to hear you say that. I mean, I think like we all want this. We all want like young drivers to be followed and be talked about and have hype, because it's good for the overall F1 market, F1 card market. To have like, I think it's great that there's more competition already at the start of this season. If Lando podiums or even, wins a race, I think that would be amazing. And I agree. I think he's a good buy right now. I did see, I know our friend, Andrew Hudson, Huddy's Card Shop, collects, Esteban Ocon, and that comment from him kind of got me thinking about, okay, some other drivers. And so, yeah, I mean, we would, we definitely want to keep the F1 momentum going and be thinking about more than just the obvious stuff, but also the obvious stuff is important, like buying Lewis, buying Max, buying Charles Leclerc, but also still being high on George Russell, Lando Norris, even some of the other guys like Gasly and Esteban Ocon. So, Greg, great work. I won't keep you longer than this, but great work on the first ever F1 card strategy show. You are the host, my man, and we will be back. I would say sometime in May with the next episode. You and I will work that out, and we'll get it into the Sports Card Strategy feed. We would love it if you guys subscribe to the Sports Card Strategy feed on Apple or on Spotify if you haven't already. You're going to get all of our niche shows as well as the flagship show, Sports Card Strategy. And check out nooffseason.com. We're brought to you by nooffseason.com, home of the Sports Card Investment Report. You can save 20% by using the promo code nooffseason, all lowercase. And graphs and charts today brought to you by marketmoversapp.com. You can save, you can get your first month for only $1 if you use the promo code NOOFFSEASON, all lowercase, at marketmoversapp.com. So thanks everybody for joining us, and Greg and I will be back soon on the F1 Card Strategy Show. Thanks again, everybody, and have a great day.